I don't know about you, but I always have a hard time falling asleep in a new place. And that's pretty hard when you're through hiking or doing a multi-day hike and you're going to sleep in a different location every night. Even though it's the same tent and the same sleeping pad and same sleeping bag or quilt, it's in a different location and just different things. And it's hard for me to go to sleep during that time. How about you? Do you have a hard time going to sleep at night when you're on trail, when you're hiking? There's some things that I learned to kind of help me out to have a better night's sleep while I'm on trail. So I want to look at those today in this video. And so I want you to listen very carefully and don't go to sleep and stay tuned. I try to get 8 hours of sleep a night when I'm on trail or any other place for that matter. But sometimes it's kind of difficult. My schedule when I'm doing a through hike or a multi-day hike is I usually go to bed about 8 or 9 o'clock and I'll get up in the morning about 4 or 5, which gives me 8 hours. The main objective, of course, is to hike as long as I can. And so I'm spending most of my time hiking and just a minimum amount of time in camp. Usually I won't stop to eat. I'll just eat while I'm hiking. And especially towards the end of the day, I will eat my so-called dinner, I guess, or supper, whatever you want to call it, before I get to camp, so that as soon as I get to camp, I find a good camping spot, flat, and then I will set my tent up, set everything up, and then go to bed just as soon as I can. My first tip is once you get your tent and everything set up and you're all ready to go to bed, scout around the area, get to know the area around you and around the campsite, so that when you do wake up in the middle of the night, you'll kind of be familiar in your mind, without opening the doors of your tent, what the terrain is like. It helps to know that there's a tree to the left, or there's a fallen log in front of the tent, and perhaps maybe there's a stream or a creek a little bit down from your tent site. It really helps to kind of get a lay of the land before you go to bed and go to sleep at night. Number 2, don't think that every sound you hear is a bear or a mountain lion or a Tyrannosaurus Rex just waiting to eat you up, okay? Because it's not. I woke up in the middle of the night one time and I thought it was some kind of rodent or whatever outside of my tent. I kept hearing the scratching, and I would get up and I'd hit the tent and it'd be quiet for a little while. Then I'd go back to bed. Then I'd hear it again. And finally I realized that it was my beard that was rubbing against the quilt, and it was making a scratching noise. I thought it was some squirrel or rodent or something that was scratching at my tent. So I'm saying that not every sound that you hear outside of your tent is something that's going to devour you. Now, this next statement is to be taken in general, okay? Animals are more afraid of you than you are of them. Now you watch. Next week, somebody that listened to this video will get eaten up by somebody or something that wasn't afraid of them. But no, in general, animals are more afraid of you than you are of them. I saw a bear one time I think it was the only bear that I saw on the Pacific Crest Trail. As soon as he saw me, in fact, he saw me before I saw him, and man, he took off like a shot. All I saw was his rear end and his paws kicking up dirt, getting out of there as quick as he could. Next, hike more miles, get in more time on trail, and then when you do get to camp, you'll be so stinking tired, you'll fall asleep really easy. One thing I found out is that if you hike for only about, 5, 6, 7 hours, something like that, you're not going to be as tired as you would be as if you hike 10 or 12 hours and 20 to 25 to 30 miles per day. I was in the North Cascades on the Pacific Crest Trail, and I had camped for the night at Pear Lake, and I was so stinking tired. And after I'd washed my feet off in the lake and I went to the tent, I went to bed. It was 7 o'clock, man. So I slept from about 7 to 4, and after I packed my tent up and everything, I was gone by 5. If you hike more hours and if you're extremely tired and exhausted, when you get into camp, you won't have any problems going to sleep. And it doesn't matter if the sun's not gone down or not. You can always close your eyes. Next tip, get a good sleeping pad. And along with that, you're going to have to experiment a little bit with the inflation. Some people like a really full blown up pad, and some people like a real thin pad, and perhaps maybe even hard, almost sleeping on the ground. So you're going to have to experiment and see which one fits you best. Some people like soft mattresses and some people like hard mattresses. So you're going to have to decide what's best for you. I used to always blow my air mattress up to the fullest, and I would find myself rolling off the sides. And every time I would do that, I'd roll off the side, I'd wake up. So of course I didn't get a good night's sleep then. But now I've let a lot of the air out, and I've found that less air is better for me. So again, experiment and see what's best for you. The main purpose of your sleeping pad is to, of course, get yourself off the ground and not have the ground zap all of your warmth off of you. Now I sleep with, or I have one of the least amount of R-value pads that they make on the market. I think it's a Therm-a-rest Uberlite, and I think I'll put what the R-value is up on the screen. But what I've done to increase the R-value is I bought a 1/8 of an inch pad, Thinlight pad from Gossamer gear. And again, I'll put the link in the description section. And I put that down and then put my pad on top of it, so it increases the R value, and again, keeps me warm during the night. Next, have a good sleeping bag or a good sleeping quilt. Now I use a quilt and have for several years. I found that the sleeping bag was too constricting to me and it's hard to turn over. I have like a 30-degree sleeping quilt, and it's plenty enough for me. If it gets real cold at night, then I'll put my puffy on and a beanie on top of my head, and I'll put on my rain pants, and I'll just put on everything that I can to keep warm, and usually that'll keep me warm throughout the night. And so I don't need a big, heavy sleeping bag or a sleeping quilt. Next, get a good pillow, and again, you're gonna have to adjust the inflation on the pillow. If you have too much, again, your head's gonna roll off. If you have too little, then you're gonna have a crick in your neck. And so again, experiment with the inflation on your pillow. I used to carry a 10-degree quilt, and take all of my extra clothes that I weren't using and put it in a dry sack and use that as a pillow. But I was thinking, why am I carrying this 10-degree bag when I can carry a lighter 30-degree bag and put all of the extra, quote, extra stuff that I was carrying, put it on at night to compensate for the 30-degree sleeping bag, and just bring a pillow. Next, do some stretches before you go to sleep. Not anything extensive, but just do some light stretches, especially in your legs. There's nothing like getting woke up in the middle of the night with a leg cramp. Oh man, stand straight up in your tent. Next, if need be, you could take some sleep supplements. Now, if you are having a real hard time going to sleep, then you could take something like melatonin. I've taken that before. That helps you sleep. Benadryl. One night I was having a real allergic reaction and I started itching and I couldn't, man, I just couldn't stop. I wasn't going to get any sleep that night if I didn't do something. And so I took a Benadryl and that knocked me out for a loop. And next, use earplugs if you need to. Now, I know you're supposed to be aware of your surroundings, aware of your situation, but if you need to go to sleep and you're pretty confident, then you can put earplugs in your ear and it will surround out any kind of noise. There's an advantage to camping close to someone. There's strength in numbers, of course. One big advantage is that if they snore, they'll keep away the animal. They'll scare away the animals. But one bad thing is they'll keep you up at night. So another thing is to put in your earplugs to go to sleep at night from your snoring tent mates. One thing I really hate is having to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. If I had to go to the bathroom, I would get up and get out of the tent and do my business and then going back to bed. But it was always several minutes, some felt like hours sometimes, before I could fall back asleep once I got back in my tent, got warm again. But now I carry a pee bottle. I just roll over, use the bathroom in the pee bottle, and make sure it's closed up real good, and then go back to bed. Now, this last thing should have been the first thing, but make sure you have a comfortable campsite for the night. Try to avoid established campsites where you've had thousands and thousands of campers come and pack down the dirt so it's hard as a brick. And usually rodents go to these established campsites because they know that campers are going to be there and they're going to drop food and all kinds of stuff. Try to find a campsite that perhaps maybe has some grass underneath it, or some leaves or pine needles, something soft. I think it's called duff or something, that you can pitch your tent on and be a little bit more comfortable. Lay your tent on the ground and then lay on top of that tent on your back, and make sure that where you're going to pitch your tent is flat and doesn't have any indentations in it, because when it rains, guess what? That rain is going to find those indentations and it's going to fill it up, and you're going to be floating in the morning. I have a bonus tip for you, and that is this. Take a nap during the middle of the day. If you don't get a good night's sleep, then you can always take a nap and get caught up on your sleep. I just find a bush or a tree or something like that, get underneath it, put your hat over your head, and just go to sleep. 20 minutes will help you get a good rest and then go on your way. The purpose of my videos is to share with you the things that I've learned over the last 30 years, and also to share with you some tips that will help you become a more effective hiker. And so if these have been a help to you, then let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Share this with someone that may need it. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, then please be sure and do so. If you'd like to learn some more about hiking, through hiking, day hiking, then please be sure and check out the videos that are on the screen. And so until then, I'll see you down the trail.